They're planning new iPad Air, iPad Pro, MacBook Air models as well.
Yeah, Caroline, thank you so much for having me. Yes, we have a bunch of new iPads and Macs coming out in the coming months. These releases are likely to happen in the March timeframe, so in the spring, just a few months from now, a little early on the Apple typical product calendar. So there's a few things happening here. On the iPad side, there's going to be a new strategy. Bigger displays at lower prices. So there's going to be two new iPad Air models. These are going to have the M2 chip that came to the iPad Pro at the end of last year. And you're going to get a 12.9-inch screen for the first time on a cheaper iPad. So potentially spending maybe $500 to $700 less to get that almost 13-inch display, a laptop-sized screen on an iPad. And then at the high end, new iPad Pros with OLED screens, new designs, and new external keyboards that make the iPad Pros function more like laptops. And then speaking of laptops, new MacBook Airs coming in the spring, new 13-inch and 15-inch models. So the MacBook Air updated for the first time on the 13-inch size after a year and a half. The 15-inch model being updated about after 9 months. And the big change there, moving from the M2 chip to the M3 chip that came to the MacBook Pro and the iMac in October.
Chips, the driving force of our conversation so far today, Mark. I'm interested, though, regulation's going to be front and centre for us throughout the show. I'm interested as to what's happening over in the EU. Apple, it seems, is managing perhaps to get a carve-out for its iMessaging.
Yeah, what we reported earlier this morning, our colleagues in Europe, is that there is a carve-out in the Digital Markets Act where Apple is not going to have to make iMessage interoperable as part of these new regulations. This is an overhaul to how iPhones and iPads will function in Europe. But this is super interesting because just a couple of weeks ago, Apple announced it's going to support RCS, or Rich Communication Services. This is a Google-sponsored or something led by Google, promoted by Google, that allows iMessage to text message, or allows different phones, iPhones and Android phones, to text message on a single protocol or network. Apple is adding that, essentially making iMessage interoperable, and it really shows that Apple made the right move here. They got ahead of the Digital Markets Act, and now Europe is letting them off easy on messaging.